Hi, I'm Logan Riley Bruner. I play Fred Benson on Stranger Things 4, and you are watching Red's Reviews and Interviews.
Hello, everyone. I'm Red from Red's Reviews and Interviews, and today I have the absolute honor of being joined by actor Logan Riley Bruner. How are you today, Logan?
I'm great. I'm really excited that we finally get to do this.
Absolutely, me too. I mean, since being on Stranger Things, your following has gone up by so much, and I'm sure this will present, way more opportunities for you in the future. And I know you have some cool projects coming soon, so I can't wait to discuss that.
Yeah, for sure.
But before we get to talking about Stranger Things, can you just sort of introduce yourself? Tell us a bit about, what other roles you've played other than Fred.
Absolutely. I'm Logan Riley Bruner. I've been an actor professionally for the last 15 years. So since I was 10, I believe was when I did my first professional gig. I have been New York based for my entire life. I started in theater and then moved to film. I have had small roles on things like Orange is the New Black, Unbreakable Kimmy Schmidt, The Detour, The Marvelous Mrs. Maisel. I've done a couple films, stuff like Alex Strangelove, and then I had a larger part in Vox Lux. But most people, as I said, know me from Stranger Things 4, where I played Fred Benson. And that has really done a crazy number on my career. It's changed things more than I could imagine. So yeah, that's a little bit about me.
Wow. So you've been acting, for a pretty long time already. So you've done a wide array of work. Do you prefer working on like movies or TV shows or commercials? What sort of suits your style the best?
I think it varies on my mood. I mean, I started in
Mm,
theaters. Theater is really where like my heart is. I'll always want to go back to a live audience.
yeah.
But I think film and TV, there's just something about you get it and it's immortalized forever, that like finality of doing a scene. I think I really appreciate being able to come in and just do a scene and move on from it is something really exciting as an actor. So I think depending on my mood, I kind of move back and forth. I'm very much in kind of a film mood right now. We're moving into pilot season, so there's a lot more TV happening, but I just wrapped doing this movie, which was an absolutely amazing artistic experience. And so I'm just kind of hungry for more of that. So I think that's where my heart is right now.
Absolutely. So to begin, let's go back and see, how this whole acting journey started. So how and when did you become interested in it in the first place? And how did that, turn into a professional career for you?
So I started pursuing acting because Rosie O'Donnell's theater group, Rosie's Broadway Kids, which has since rebranded to Rosie's Theater Kids, came to my elementary school. They did a semester-long intensive with my 5th grade class. And the way my mom tells it is that I came home singing and dancing and I never stopped. That I just realized right in that moment that I loved it and it was the thing that I wanted to do. She helped me connect to a youth theater group called Tada. And I worked with them for a little while. And through them, I met my manager, Jody Poussin, and we worked together for a really long time and we're still friends. But she really got me into the industry. She got me my first off-Broadway show, which I did Assassins with a group of really amazing artists. And then from there, I just started auditioning and moving one piece into another and slowly building a reputation. I'm one of those people that is the opposite of like overnight success. I'm somebody that it was really bit by bit, block by block. I worked my way into the industry and really built a career through just trying to do good work and working with good people and making good projects.
So what would you say, what was the biggest thing that sort of helped that success? What made you in particular, get those roles?
I think part of it was I had really good training. I mean, I went to middle and high school at the Professional Performing Arts School, so I was doing acting training practically every day. Part of it was just the right place at the right time. I would happen to be in the right room and meet the right person, and they were working on the right thing that I was able to kind of end up getting on. And part of it was just that I auditioned a lot. and I went out for a lot of things. I mean, the expression is 50 no's for one yes, and it's absolutely true that there were just months, months, and months that I'd audition and audition and audition and not work, and then get that one role that I'd work for a little while and then go back to not working. It was just, it's a lot of perseverance and just believing in yourself at the end of the day, and it's a marathon, not a sprint. Eventually, as long as you continue to work hard and be kind and treat other people with respect, eventually the right thing comes along.
For sure. So I'd like to discuss, of course, your time working on Stranger Things.
Absolutely.
How did you get the role, and what was that whole sort of audition process like?
I mean, it was really like any other audition, right? Like I got a self-tape request for Stranger Things 4. I had auditioned for the first season.
Really?
For the same casting director. Yeah, I auditioned for Jonathan back in the day.
Wow.
And so I knew the project. I loved the project. And I fell in love with it because I auditioned for it, and then just watching it. I mean, it's an incredible show. And so when it came across my desk, as we are wont to say, I knew that I really wanted to execute for it. I had seen Doc Ray's audition for Billy, and I absolutely loved it. And so I knew that there was a little bit of freedom to kind of play. In most self-tapes, it's you do the scene and you do it as simply as possible. But at least from what I had seen, Stranger Things was kind of willing to see some stuff that was a little outside the box. So I went and I bought glasses. I like really tried to make myself as Fred as possible. I think I went as far as like, I didn't draw a scar on my face, but I did everything else.
Okay.
And I pieced together through the details of the scenes that I had gotten and the details of the character description, who I was talking to and what we were talking about and like what characters we were mentioning, because everything had been changed. So I did my audition, and then about a month and a half later, I just got a call that they wanted me to play Fred, which was incredibly exciting and amazing. And then we were supposed to start shooting March of 2020, but we all know what happened in March of 2020. And so pushed back originally 2 weeks, and then it got pushed back 8 months. And at the end of it, they still called and were like, we still want you to play this part. We're going to bring you down to Atlanta. Let's do this. And then the rest is history.
That's so cool though, how, it almost went full circle, from auditioning, then not getting the part, to becoming a fan, and then finally, seeing yourself as a part of the show. So cool.
Yeah. I mean, it was a dream come true. I've wanted to be a part of Stranger Things since the beginning. And so to finally be able to play a part that I really felt like I could do a great job on, I mean, it was a dream come true.
So what was, both yours and your friends and family's reaction to finding out, that you'd booked the job and you would be in one of the biggest shows of all time?
I mean, I screamed. I freaked out and like ran around my apartment. My mom thought something really bad happened because I like freaked out so much. I was just really excited. And then I couldn't really tell anybody because they want to keep everything really quiet and they want to make sure that nobody knows. And some of my like closest friends caught on just because they knew I was going to Atlanta and they had a general sense of the things that I had auditioned for, and so they kind of had a good grasp on what I was doing. But most people were just surprised when it was finally announced and I was able to talk about it. And a lot of people have been incredibly supportive and incredibly kind, and it's just been really, really awesome to see so many people just really root for me.
Of course.
It was awesome.
Yeah, it must just be surreal, because I've seen photos of like your face as Fred on like a billboard, and I mean season 4 has been viewed for what, like over 1 billion hours. So
it's insane.
It must be crazy.
It was the first time that I'd ever had people make fan art of me. It was the first time that I had ever had myself on a poster. Like, it's all these things that as kind of a young upstart actor you dream about, the stardom aspect of it, that I feel like I've moved away from, but still having it happen was this is insane. It's all those things that you hope for when you're dreaming about your future, and being able to see them was just very exciting and super humbling. It's been really amazing to see the fan base just really like the character, because I mean, of course there's the fear that your character's going to show up and everyone's going to hate you.
I was going to ask about that.
Yeah, I mean, the fans have been amazing. They've been super kind and super accepting and welcoming of me into the community. I feel like Fred in particular has just gotten a lot of love. I haven't seen a lot of negativity in anything that I have seen. I've been able to really filter past pretty quickly. So I've just been super honored by the community and the fact that they've really accepted me so much. It's been great.
For sure. So are there any similarities between you and Fred, and how did you sort of prepare to play him and maybe shape that whole character?
I think we're both really hardworking. We're both really dedicated, and we both really care about the people that we care about. I think in particular with Fred, I just wanted to bring a lot of honesty to what he was dealing with and the kind of stress that was happening to his life.
Yeah.
And I wanted to show that whether it was platonically or romantically, that he really did care about Nancy and that she was really important to him. And I think a lot of that just ends up being crafted by Natalia and her performance. And so I really just came in ready for whatever she was going to give me. And she helped me craft what that character would end up being based on how she was approaching things. And we kind of created it together. I mean, it was a really easy process to kind of walk in and just step into the world and feel like I was able to just say these really natural lines that the Duffer Brothers had given me and bring this character to life.
Well, I mean, you certainly succeeded, and he's become like sort of a fan favorite now. I mean, I'm seeing cosplays, edits, all sorts of stuff like that online. It's incredible.
It's really cool. I mean, you always have the dream that the fan base is going to connect to you so much, but to see it happen is just, it's really cool.
Of course. What was it like for you, stepping foot on set for the first time, and what was the atmosphere like there?
The set is incredibly gracious and kind. I mean, it's full of people who just want to create a cool project. And so I think walking on the set for the first time, there's of course the surrealism of like, wow, I'm here. But there was also just a sense of like, we're just all here to create something cool. Nobody really has a big ego where they think that they're bigger than anybody else or that like they deserve special treatment. So I think it was just a really safe and easy environment to kind of step into that and feel like I was a part of a family. They really made it an easy transition to make. And I was just happy to be a part of it.
Yeah, that's great. And it must have been really cool to kind of be transported to the 80s.
Oh, for sure. I mean, I do a lot of period work. I do a lot of like not modern shows. And so I'm kind of used to having to jump around in time. And to step into the 80s is always fun. It's always a cool time to wear different clothes and drive in different cars and see different things. The way that the art department is able to transform all those places and really bring them back is super exciting and super cool. And it just makes our job so much easier.
Yeah, definitely. So you were in, a good part of the series, those first 2 episodes, and Fred's death really kind of got the ball rolling in a way.
Oh, for sure.
So how long were you shooting for?
I was shooting on and off through September and November of 2021, and then I shot a little bit more in March of 2022. And so it was yes, that's correct. I have my years right. Sometimes I get thrown off by the year. Yeah, so I shot like on and off a couple weeks. Being on set, I was probably there for like 14 days, but in terms of like being in Atlanta, it was a month and a half to 2 months of just staying locked down and making sure that we were safe and making sure that everybody was able to stay healthy and we were able to get this series done.
Yeah, so in what ways did, COVID impact the production other than, having to delay it for so long?
I mean, it's just a lot of safety. It's a lot of just making sure that things slow down. It's a lot of making sure that everybody is following procedure. And they did an amazing job of keeping us safe and making sure that no one was ever in any danger. And I'm just really thankful to Netflix and to the whole show for keeping us safe and making sure that we were testing as much as possible and keeping everybody healthy and happy.
Definitely. And I mean, you must have really stood out to them because not only did you get the role just after that one self-tape, but also they didn't maybe change the casting after, that whole delay and they didn't get someone from Atlanta.
Right. I mean, it would have been so easy to just bring somebody in from Atlanta and have them do it locally, not have to fly them, not have to pay for hotels. And I totally would have understood it. It really meant a lot to me that they liked me so much and liked the way that I connected to Fred, that they were willing to bring me down there. It was a huge honor and I'm super appreciative of it.
Of course. So Fred had that sort of prosthetic scar. How long would that, take to do in the makeup chair?
The first time we did it, it took 45 minutes. By the end of the entire process, it was taking a half hour. We had trimmed 15 minutes off. I mean, it's nothing compared to what Jamie has to do to get into Vecna, but
Yeah.
it was my first time with prosthetics, and so that was super exciting, and it was a really fun process to feel that transformation. It definitely helped me to step. I mean, hair and makeup are one thing, but to like really have a piece that's put on to like change the way you feel, putting on that and the glasses were really the touches that I needed to kind of transform into Fred.
Did the Duffer Brothers tell you, early on about Fred's fate and about his backstory? Did you know what you were getting into?
I did. I knew what had happened to Fred. There was always a debate on what exactly happened with the car, and I mean, I have my thoughts, and I've heard their thoughts. I like leaving it kind of up to speculation because I've heard so many theories from the fans. It's so exciting. But yeah, they told me very early on what was going to happen, and I knew going in that was where Fred was going, and so there was always the feeling of like, I mean, you find out you're friends with Nancy Wheeler, you figure you're pretty screwed going into things. So I kind of had a feeling that things were not going to end well, but it was definitely it was good to know so that I could really take the time when I was there to establish a presence so that it felt missed once I was gone.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, I think once you know you're in those scenes with Nancy, you kinda have the feeling maybe she should stop making friends from now on.
I feel bad for her because I want her to have a friend, but goodness gracious, they just keep end up getting killed.
I'm curious, do you believe that Fred was a murderer, like Vecna said?
I think people make mistakes when they're put into really tough situations. And I think that he could have made better decisions, but being a kid and getting caught in a situation where you don't know what to do is a really scary thing. And I think Vecna exploits his guilt for the things that he didn't do in that situation.
That's a good answer.
Thank you.
So walk me through how Fred's death scene was shot. What was CGI and what was practical?
It's a combo. I mean, all the stuff in the grave, him coming up to me, all of that's practical. The flying is practical. The falling is practical, but the bone snapping and that is all VFX. So there was a whole day where I was just being raised and lowered on wires so that they could get the perfect shot of me rising into the sky. It was super exciting to be able to do it practically. I think practical effects always look cool and are always a tangible thing that an audience can hold on to. And so I was excited to be able to do so much and to have so much of it be my performance versus something being created by incredible artists. But I think the combo of the two is really what makes it so brutal and so scary.
So did you have to do any sort of molds or casts or like VFX scans or anything like that for it?
I did. I worked with a really incredible studio here in New York. They're actually the same people that do Saturday Night Live, and they did a head cast of me. So we did a half hour of me just under molds and casting my head, and then they cast my arms in order to build the dummy that you see later on in the season. So that was a really exciting thing. It was the first time I'd done something like that, and it was claustrophobic, but it was a good time.
Tell me, when you were on wires, was that like on an actual road or was that a set they built? What was that like?
It was on a road. I mean, it's exciting and it's intimidating because you're being raised and lowered, but I mean, I trusted them that they knew exactly what they were doing. The stunt team is incredible on that show. They do amazing work and they keep everybody really safe. And so we're just raising and lowering me basically on a crane in the middle of the road that we have shut off because we're shooting there. And it was an exciting, interesting time to get to do it that night.
Yeah, I mean, are you a heights guy? Because I would have been terrified.
I'm not afraid of heights. I'm afraid of falling.
Oh.
So I was, the raise is fine, but the moment you start looking down is when it's like, oh, I'm really high up and I have no control over this.
Yeah.
This is scary. And so the drop was scary because it's like you have to feel yourself falling, even though you know that they're going to catch you. So that was the scariest part. But once I did it once and knew what it was going to feel like, I was kind of able to prepare myself for it and be ready for what was coming.
So like when you're saying being ready for what was coming, you were like sort of, you couldn't see yourself, tensing or anything. You were just staying in that position. Was that difficult, while you were
Right.
dropping?
Oh, totally. I mean, because I had to really think in my head, just like,
Yeah.
don't move. Because you're supposed to be in a trance. You're supposed to be taken over. And so I can't react to the fact that I'm dropping. I can't tense my body or seem like I know that I'm falling. And so it was really a mental game of like, okay, here it comes. You're about to drop. Just stay calm, stay relaxed. It's going to catch you. Here it comes. Okay.
Wow, but it must have been so strange to watch that scene back afterwards with all the VFX and everything done.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I watched it with my friends and my mom, and it's brutal to see. The first time I saw it, it was horrifying, but it's also super exciting because it's like a dream to see yourself like that on screen. But they did a great job of just making that awful to watch. It was dark and far darker than anything I had seen on the show thus far.
Absolutely.
So I was thrilled with how it turned out.
But it must have been terrifying for your mum to watch that with you as well.
Oh, yeah. I think she was glad that I was there with her because she was able to be like, my son is alive. He's okay. I'm looking at him right now. And kind of relieve that stress of watching me die.
Yeah. So how about some of the other scenes, like when you and Nancy were in the car? How was that filmed? Is it like an actual car or the windows green screened, or how do you film a scene like that?
No, we were in an actual car being pulled by a trailer. We were just being dragged down the road so that we don't have to focus on driving and just having a conversation while the world whips by. It was really cool. It's cool to feel like you're really there, really doing it, and really a part of the world and actually experiencing it rather than just sitting still and having green screen next to you. I always like that kind of practical movement. It helps me get into the character more. So that was super exciting.
So now we're going to do some rapid fire sort of questions.
Oh, goodness. Okay.
Brace yourself. So I'm going to name some of the actors that you worked with. And in just a few sentences, can you just give me a brief sort of overview, I guess, of, your experience with them?
Totally.
So first off, we've got Natalia Dyer as Nancy.
I mean, she's amazing. She's a truly giving actress. She's incredibly kind. She knows how to play that character so perfectly. She really welcomed me. She was one of the first people that I met, and she brought me in so graciously and so wonderfully and had no ego. I loved every second of getting to work with her.
How about Jamie as Vecna? That must have been pretty intimidating.
It was terrifying. I mean, I was hugely excited because I'm a huge Sweeney Todd fan. And so I loved him as Anthony when I was younger. And so being able to work with him now was super exciting. But I didn't meet him as Jamie. I met him when he was already fully in makeup. And so like my only him is meeting him as that character. And I mean, he was superhuman when we met. He introduced himself as Jamie and we like shook hands even though he was in prosthetics, but it was just an amazing experience to be able to work with him and to watch him transform into that character and to get to be that up close and personal with him and have him just be so giving in a scene that's so difficult like that. He really made it super easy to portray the fear that Fred had, because I was intimidated by how just
I bet
huge he is when he's in front of you.
So was that real fear then?
Oh yeah. I mean, of course, some of it's acting, but there's also just like I'm enclosed in a box with this really scary looking thing coming toward me. I don't like being here.
No, definitely not. Did you see much of Finn Wolfhard and Caleb McLaughlin?
Both of them a little bit. Finn, I got to work with briefly on the one scene that we have. We talked about just life and growing up in the industry and stuff of that nature. And then Caleb, I met a little bit working on the basketball scene and we got to just kind of goof around. We were throwing jokes at each other while we were rehearsing, and he's just super kind and super humble. And he had just done Concrete Cowboy, which I thought was incredible. So I got to talk to him a little bit about that. And he's just, I mean, for someone of his age, he's so remarkably talented, and I cannot wait to see what the future holds for him. I think he's going to have an incredible career.
Definitely. Am I missing out any other actors in that basketball scene? Because there were quite a lot in that.
I mean, Maya Hawke and Amy Beth McNulty, I got to work with for those days, and the two of them are both incredibly nice. They're really welcoming and made me feel like I was right at home. And I just loved getting to collaborate with them for the little bit of time that I had. Feels like I never had enough time to work with anybody, so like I have all of them on the list of people that I want to work with again. But honestly, I think the entire cast is wonderful, and I would jump at the opportunity to do a scene with them again.
Yeah, it would have been great to see Robin and Fred interact, I think. They would have
Oh
worked
my
pretty well
gosh.
together.
I mean, my dream was to see Will and Fred
Yeah.
because I think the two of them would just really have a wonderful time together. Or I mean, Fred and Steve would just be delightfully bickering the entire time. And
Yeah.
Joe Keery is a wonderful human that I really got to connect with as well. And so I love everybody, and I think any combination of Fred with anybody would have been fun.
What would the Duffer Brothers like to work with as directors?
Oh, they're incredible. They know exactly what they want. They take their time when they work. They know exactly the look that they want. They know the tone that they want. They would always listen to a soundtrack, whatever day it was, based on what scenes we were doing. And so I would go up and ask them what music they were listening to so I could kind of get a sense of what they were looking for, which was super fun. And they're I hate to say big little kids because that sounds so like detrimental, but like they're just two guys who are super excited to be making a show that they love, and they're really good at it.
Oh yeah.
And so it's a joy to be able to work with them and to take this thing that they have in their head and bring it to life and watch the excitement that they have. It made the entire process so much fun and so easy that I'm just so grateful that I had the opportunity to work with them.
Definitely. And I'm sure you had, such a great time on the show. But can you share maybe some favorite memories with us?
Yeah, there was one day, me and Maya have a mutual friend, Samia from New York. She's a musical artist that I've known for a long time and Maya's known for a long time, but the two of us had never met. And so the first time that we talked, we were talking about Samia a little bit and our friendship with her, and then just kind of bonding a bit. And at the end of the day, I was leaving and I had all the blood coming down my face from filming Fred already being dead. And I just looked up and she took a picture of me, and I'm wearing this like Dungeons and Dragons shirt and I have all this blood pouring down my face. And so it's one of my favorite photos that I've seen from my time doing that. And that was just a really fun favorite memory I have of just the two of us getting to have a fun moment together. She's a delight, and I'm really excited that we finally got to do something together.
That's a great one. And you really seemed like you got those sort of personal moments with the cast and you got to really interact with them.
Yeah, I mean, the other one that I'll say is there was a night that we were shooting in the gymnasium, and Maya, Amy Beth, and Joe Keery had all wrapped at the same time that I did. And I had to get the scar off, which was going to take another 20 minutes. So I figured that they were just going to go home back to their hotel. But when I came out, they had all asked if they could wait behind so that we could all go back together to make sure that the whole cast was together. And during that ride, I got to listen to Maya in the back working on music, and then talk to Amy, Beth, and Joe about just career and what we wanted and the things that we were hoping to do after this and the hopes that we had for life and stuff. And that was a really just amazing moment to be able to kind of connect to artist with them and to feel like I was being brought into that world. It was super exciting and super humbling, and I just loved it.
That's so sweet. And it seems like they're very inclusive and they're like a family.
Oh, for sure. I mean, they never made me feel like I was the new kid on the block. They were always super welcoming and super inviting of me, and they really made me feel like I was a part of the family. And so I'm really grateful for all that.
That's fantastic. Was there an aspect of working on the show that was significantly more challenging than the rest for you?
I mean, I think the death scene is always the hardest part. You really want the audience to connect to it. You want the audience to believe you. And so I was listening to Mumford & Sons' first album, Sigh No More, and I would just play that album on repeat and kind of think about Nancy and the life that Fred was leaving behind and really try and get into that world. So I think that was the most challenging, but that's just challenging on an emotional level and really trying to get believable and have the audience relate to and actually care about a character going on a show where characters die constantly is something that I really wanted to connect to.
So you used, music to kind of get in that headspace. Did you use any other sort of techniques to get into that emotional place?
Not really. I mean, I am an actor who really connects through music and through the words. And so listening to it over and over and then really using the music to get me in that space and then allowing the words that the Duffers put on the page to take me the rest of the way is really the perspective that I take on it. And I try and do that every time when I'm approaching something emotional, to just really commit to the character and allow the character's emotions to come through and to just try and make that as believable as possible.
How has working on Stranger Things affected your life? And also, what is, the biggest thing you took from that experience?
I mean, it blew up my social media. Yeah. I went from having 1,200 followers to 30,000, which has been a really surreal experience to go through. And then it also just opened a bunch of doors in terms of acting. I mean, I did a guest star on a TV show that was just offered to me because of Stranger Things. I auditioned for a bunch of really amazing projects. I'm playing the lead in a movie that's coming up soon. And I think the reason that people were able to trust me with a part that big is because I had been on a show like this. You really have to build a reputation for being able to do things. And so Stranger Things opened that door for me and really gave a lot more weight to my name in terms of what people were able to trust me with. And so I think Stranger Things has really launched me into a new aspect of my career. And then just in terms of life, I mean, it's the biggest show in the world. It's hard to not have that adjust things. I mean, people recognize me as dead sometimes now, and that's been a surreal experience. And then just kind of trying to continue navigating the world and continue being humble and appreciative of all the fans and all the things that they continue to send me, and an amazing experience.
That's great. And I mean, your resume of, what you've starred in already is incredible. But when you see Stranger Things on there, that's like, also like, wow, So that'll hopefully open way more doors now. What did you learn from Stranger Things? What have you taken with you?
I mean, of course, what it's like to work on a show like that, what it's like to work on a big project. I think the biggest thing that you take away from that is just the experience of fans and connecting to people and the boundaries that you have to set around that. I mean, a lot in terms of acting was just another day at work. I got to work with some really incredible people and got to see them work. And so a lot of that is just like you learn by doing, and you kind of osmosis a bunch of stuff and maybe don't realize what you're picking up when you're picking it up. But I think the biggest thing that the show taught me really was just how to connect with people who have such a huge connection to a character but don't necessarily know me, the person, and how to kind of build boundaries between like, I appreciate people who enjoy my art, but also knowing that like they're viewing me in a very specific light and don't necessarily know who I am or everything about me. And so being able to create those real spaces to connect with fans, but not feel like I'm like giving too much of Logan to the world has been really important.
Yeah, that's interesting because I'm sure there's some fans out there that might go a little too far from time to time.
I mean, of course, there's always people that get really, really excited. I've been lucky that I haven't really had to deal with anything too crazy. But I mean, social media makes it so easy to feel like you know somebody. You scroll through their Instagram, you watch their story, you feel like you're really talking to them and you're really creating a friendship. But in reality, it's just what is being projected to the world. There's so much of my life that I keep for myself just because it's really important to me to keep it for me. That I feel like I have to, or not I have to, but there is that delineation between like performed Logan and like public Logan and private Logan and who I am. And so really creating those distinctions was important for me when the show came out. And I feel like it really gave me a crash course in that.
Yeah, that's a really great answer. But I mean, being in Stranger Things, that just must have been a dream come true because you have such a great story, from auditioning, then being a fan of the show, then auditioning again, and just after one, tape, you got the role. and then seeing yourself in that show and having that open so many doors to you afterwards, it's just a wild journey.
I mean, it's surreal to like project things that are going to happen and say like, oh, the show's going to come out and then I'm going to get some more opportunities and I'm going to be able to do things. It's so surreal to actually watch that happen to your life. Like to predict events that are going to happen and then have them come true is a really strange feeling. Strange. But it was thrilling and exciting. And I mean, the whole thing has felt like a dream. I keep expecting to wake up and have it all actually have been a dream, but it just keeps going. And it's just been really, really exciting and just joyous to be able to have this as a memory and now to move forward and be working on amazing projects because of it is just everything I could have ever asked for.
Of course. So talking about those amazing projects, tell me about your future ambitions, because I know you've got a production company and you're going to appear in a new film, All You Need Is Blood. Tell me a bit about it.
Yes. I just wrapped All You Need Is Blood back at the beginning of December. It is a zombie thriller, but also kind of a coming-of-age film about a director who's trying to find his way in the world, and I was super excited to be a part of it. It's fun to get to do comedy again. It's a really great time. It's my first time getting to be a lead, so it was my first time being on a set for really that long and being able to be a part of the process. And I feel like I was able to contribute a lot and be a part of a really collaborative process with an amazing group of people. I'm super excited to continue sharing things about it. Hopefully I'll be talking more about it and we'll be seeing things coming soon, but that's the next big project. And then I'm a writer, and so I'm writing tons of things and just seeing what happens with, hopefully a script that I write will be produced this year and I'll be able to kind of get my name out there as a writer. But other than that, it's just auditions. It's waiting for the next opportunity. It's the constant everyday grind doesn't stop just because you get one project, and so you keep going and you keep seeing what's next, and it's just an exciting journey to be on.
Absolutely. I mean, you have such a bright future now, and I can't wait to see, what else you appear in, and hopefully we'll see a lot more of you.
That'd be great.
Do you have any advice for someone wanting to pursue a career in the film industry, or even what would you tell your younger self?
I think the advice that I tend to give is find an acting class that you love that pushes you to be better. I took a really amazing class with an acting teacher named Natalia Dyer, who was just incredible and really transformed my approach to acting and is really part of the reason that I'm where I am today. And then Actors Access is an amazing resource for finding auditions and finding opportunities. And it's where I got my start and where I started auditioning for things. Working on student films with the next generation of directors is a great way to make connections before you know their connections. And then advice that I give to my younger self is just that it's all going to be worth it, to keep working, to keep going, and know that the stuff that felt like it was just hard and work and constant pushing for the next step and the next thing is all going to end up being worth it someday, and that you're really love where you end up.
Absolutely. And you seem so passionate, about your craft. So what does acting mean to you? What about it brings you so much joy and makes you want to keep persevering?
I think I just love storytelling. I love being able to step into someone else's shoes. I love being able to play pretend. And I think that the biggest ways that we change the world are by showing art and by using art as a way to advance things. I think the way that we survived COVID was through art. It was through TV and film and through connecting to artists. And so I just think it's important to be a part of that and to be able to tell more stories and new stories and different stories and try and change the world however I can.
Definitely. So thank you once again, Logan, for your time. It's been a pleasure. If anyone watching wants to keep up with you, see what your future projects are, do you have any social media you can share with us?
Yeah, I am on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I'm Logan Riley Bruner. It's just my name. I'm on Twitter, but I barely use it. If you really want to connect with me, it's Instagram. And then as Red said, I run a production company called Black Wolves Productions. We're putting things out semi-regularly, and hopefully there will be more stuff coming there soon. But yeah, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, I'm all over.
Thank you, Logan. That's perfect. So I wish you every success in the future, and I can't wait to see your new movie.
Thank you so much, Red. It's been an honor.
Take care.